The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, listener. Welcome to Leadership Podcast. And of course, again, it is yet another edition of a big issue. And of course, as usual, we are here in the studio with our in-house analyst to actually take you around the country and then bring to you very, very major happenings in and around the country. My name is George Agba, and of course, with me here in the studio are Tunde Oguntola.
Thank you for having me.
Sunday Isua.
It's nice to be here.
And of course, don't forget that Big Issue has always and will always remain your treasure to consult whenever you wish to learn or be informed about happenings in and around the country. And of course, the big issue for today is the agitation for the creation of more states in the country, which has taken a new dimension. A report emerged over the weekend that the Senate Committee on Constitutional Review had recommended that a referendum be conducted for 20 new states by the Independent National Electoral Commission. According to the report, the committee's decision was reached after considering various factors, including the ability of civilian administration to create states. The Senate panel was said to have concluded plans to soon meet with the House of Representatives Committee on Constitutional Review for joint consultation on some of the approved amendments, as creation of new states tops the list of amendments to the 1999 Constitution. And of course, the Senate refuted the report, suggesting that its Constitution Amendment Committee has proposed creation of new states. It noted that those asking for the creation of the state should team up and meet the requirements of the Constitution as stated in Section 8. And of course, the Senate explained that the process of creation of new states must be in accordance with the provision of Section 8 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. Well, the Senate came out to refute that report, but before the refuter came yesterday, there had been angst. There had been criticism trailing that decision. And of course, most Nigerians who felt that they were not captured, their areas were not captured in the state creation, protested. And of course, there were those who were just naturally angry that the federal government or the Senate, the National Assembly, will want to create additional states when the existing states, most of them are not viable. Can they look at this kind of issue? The angst out there is that we're talking of state creation.
Yes.
When most of the states we have are not viable.
Thank you for that question. You know, when issues like this came up, we have to look from where we are coming from so that we can know where we are going to. The British actually introduced to us divide and rule system, where some section or some parts connivingly get more, and the others who they feel they are not loyal don't get any. When he said you want to create more states, at this moment in the nation history, it's uncalled for, because at the moment we should be dealing with there should be more unity, there should be national unity and cohesion in the country, not creating more states, not adding 20. It's already 36 states of the federation. So when we look at all this, the next question should be the 36 states. In those 36 states, how many of them are actually viable? The report, in 2019 report, notes that only 4 states was economic viable, which is Lagos, Akwa Ibom, Rivers, and Kaduna. So, and in 2020, 6 states were economic viable: Lagos, Ogun, Rivers, Kwara, Kano, Enugu. Others are not. that they cannot stand alone. They cannot do without depending on the quota system and getting money from Abuja. So when we look at all this together, we are creating new state for what? We are creating new states to come to Abuja to collect more money, or we are creating new states to start a more disputes, border disputes. Let's go straight to the point. I don't think Nigeria need new states for now.
Well, it's sure you've heard them today quite okay. Yes, but this area seeking for new states, do they merit it? Already less than 5 of the current 36 states are economically viable. It's just less than 5 out of 36 states.
Well,
and the reports even claim that the Senate is determined to respect what it termed the genuine desires of Nigeria. So why would the country get the money to fund these additional states when we have a dwindling economy here facing us, and then even a shortfall of federal allocation?
the problem we have in this country is not the fact that states are not viable. There is no state in this country that is not viable. We think the way the capitalists think, and that is why we think that states are not viable. There is no state in this country that don't have massive mineral resources that can be explored to run those states. There is no state in this country where trade is not taking place. So the issue is that we have not taken governance seriously, and that is why people will now say that states are not viable. Now, in Southern Kaduna, for example, a German company around 2016 or 2017 went there, just one natural resources, nickel. They realized that it is in abundance, it is a multi-billion dollars, yes, mineral resources that have not even been tapped. This is just a place looking for a state that has one nickel, that is what thousands of oil fields. So what are we talking about? If you move into other gold mining, if you move into other mineral resources that I cannot mention, you find out that we have a lot of them. So the issue, whether we are running the states the way states are supposed to be run, is quite different with the issue of them being viable. Yes, because when oil was discovered, every state now rely on the federal government for FAC meeting every month. They share the money and they take. And most of these governors, they don't even think outside the box to see how they can, make their states viable, as they are calling it. But as far as I'm concerned, with all the indices that a state needs to be viable, all the states in Nigeria have those indices. They have mineral resources. The trade is taking place. The only problem we have now is insecurity. And this insecurity is caused by unmanned territories. Many people have said that unmanned territories are where all these bandits are, operating, or their logistics places. Now, if you know that these states, and many people have been calling for state police, how will you call for state police and you don't call for creation of more states? It's actually, two different things. If you are calling for state police, let there be more state, because when was the last time a state was created in Nigeria? It was during the military. And that time, what was the population of Nigeria? The population was too high. It was not as high as it is today. Now we are talking about over 200 million people, and you are telling me that states should not be created. Let's take United States, for example. How many states do they have? They didn't just create state because they want to create state. They create state because they want to give power back to the people. All of us are concentrating on the center, and that is why we have a lot of urbanization, because the local government system is not working, the states is not working. Everybody wants to come to Abuja. In fact, many people don't even want state government jobs because the salary is too poor, they want federal government job where the salary is high, or private sector job where the salary is high. But let me tell you, if these states are created and there is dissolution of powers to the state or to the region, you will see how state will now begin to compete, bring in new ideas to see how they will raise their revenue to run the state. It's just for the state to look inward, what they have, what is their comparative advantages. If you are good in agriculture, empower your farmers, let them farm, let us send in this food products, let us export it, and make sure that we just send something to the federal government, and the federal government will also be happy because the state are sending something to them, not that the federal government will be sharing between the federal government, state and local government, and those states are not just doing enough to make sure that they change the tax.
Well, it's what you stated it very clearly. But the questions out there in the mouth of every Nigerian is that are these areas economically viable to stand on their own? Because you spoke of the United States. How many states does the United States have?
Well, I think
About 50 something. But you are talking of a developed country here. Compared to Nigeria, that is a developing country. And of course, the thinking out there is that instead of merging some of the current states that can barely pay worker salary, they are still calling for separation of most of these states. How can they stand? Even the revenue, the federal allocation from the federal government. Sometimes who said this state, former governor of, the current governor of Edo State, he said that the federal government borrowed about how many billion to make up for which month like that, to be able to pay federal allocation. Then you are saying, and of course, from what they say, I think that was a particular report when they said just only less than 5 states.
It's like you do not get
in Nigeria are economically
it's like you do not get what I was saying.
Yeah.
Because we see viability the way the Western people see it. We think the way the Western people think. If you are talking about development is seriously a different issue. You don't look at development because of they are building roads, let us also build roads. No, you don't look at development because people, are borrowing money just to look at the Western people. No, development is an improvement. Okay, you don't just wake up and you want to look like China. You don't just wake up, you want to look like United States. No, that is not the development we are talking about. Development is about improvement. How you were before, and you can improve now. So how will you improve? If you want to improve and you want to look like them, you want to go and borrow money so that you will construct roads and look like them, that is when the problem will come in. Development is an improvement where you look inward. If you look inward, what do I have to my comparative advantage? And that is why I said we have never explored our mineral resources. Gold alone in this country is more than the riches of some European countries. So we are not exploring this thing, and we think there is difference between undeveloped and underdeveloped. Yes. So our problem is just we have not developed these resources. They are not on time.
We have not harnessed it.
We have not harnessed it. So that does not mean that we are not rich. We are rich. We have it in abundance. So if you want to say economically viability, the indices are there. We are viable, and we just need to explore this thing. And at the end of the day, we move forward.
Well, Isuwa is for creation of more states. For creation of more states, solve the problems of Nigeria, because the worry is that Nigeria spends more on recurring expenditures, and creating this new state means we will want to continue to do so forever. Today.
Well, let me make this clear. Creation of more states, I think, is not the main concerns of Nigerians at the moment. What Nigerians are asking for is the practice of true federalism and restructuring. Let me quickly take you through. If you ask a Yoruba man today what is restructuring, he will give you his own definition. Ask an Hausa man what is restructuring, will give you his own definition. Ask someone, my brother from the east, what he will give you his own definition. So the fact is, creation of more states is not the major demands of the people of Nigeria. What Nigerian people want is for the nation to develop and practice democracy in line with global perspectives.
Well, viewer, let's just take a very short break, and of course, we'll be back in a moment. Stay tuned and don't go offline.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Okay, viewer, welcome back to Leadership Postcard Studio. And of course, this is Big Issue. And the big issue of the day is the furore over creation of more states. And of course, today, as we were talking, good enough, the Senate has refuted the report that it listed 20 states for creation. But what are those asking for new state thinking when there's the call for restructuring to return power to the regions? And then people are calling for more states. Does this mean?
Let's make it this way. When new states are created, it will automatically lead to demand for more money to service those in power.
And we are still talking of reduction of governance. That is the cost of governance.
When the cost of governance is already high. Now, when you say you create more states, there are new governors.
That means the more federal allocation.
Governors with SA. The SA will also have SA. SA will have cooks. We have domestic staff.
We have PA.
PAs, cook.
And even the
Don't you think that's job
and then
creation?
we have
You don't think that's job creation?
and we have strings of PAs whose job
creation.
we have strings of PAs whose job is to just open doors.
No. If you are talking about restructuring, state creation is part of restructuring. You can't deny that. Because let me tell you,
Okay.
people who you said that are calling for restructuring, they also demanded for state creation. If you check the list of
Their demands.
yes, if you check the list of people who are demanding for state, it cut across every region in this country. And some regions are having 6 states, some regions are having 5, some are having how many?
Okay.
7.
Okay,
So how will you say that restructuring is not in connection with creation of state? It's still part of restructuring.
If you say
And either you
restructuring,
like it or not, a lot of people have been calling for this state creation even before 1999.
if you say
You
one
understand?
Of, if you say one of the demands of creation of more states, like to create more jobs, for people, at whose expense?
I am not saying
At whose expense?
Sorry to cut
The
you
cost
short.
of government.
I think what I understand to be saying, if you create more states, number one, the federal government will be thinking of
you are still
wait.
thinking of the
Let
federal
me-
government.
let
I
me-
told you how this state can
let me
run without even the support of the federal
Let
government.
me drive home.
With restructuring and states,
Wait,
as generating
this
money,
one.
they will give money
Let's
to
call-
the
let's
federal
call-
government.
let's call- let's
Not
call
even the federal government giving it to them.
Let
Let's
me
call
drive
it as
home.
state of-
Where
Let me
the
drive home.
federal government will not even be strong.
Let me just drive home my phone. You create more additional states. When you talk of 20, in addition to
36.
36,
That's
that's 56. I think that should even be more than the number of America, the states, the United States have. Okay, wait. Now, there will be more federal allocations to different, and then the cost of governance. You've not thought about that. And then you are saying, I mean, in terms of economic viability, I think some of the criteria they look at is the mineral resources that are deposited in those states. Okay, now looking at the states seeking to be created is why. How can a state like Amana State from Adamawa or Okun State from Kogi, and another state again from Kogi State. We are even talking of 2 states.
You see,
How can
the problem is that
survive when
this-
the mother states are actually struggling with revenue generation?
these are proposals.
Mm.
These are proposals. It does not mean that all the number of people seeking for the state listed here can be able to get it. It's just proposals. Now, in these proposals, they will now look at, people, just like the Senate committee have said, people who are genuinely.
Well, we are beginning to have some reactions from our viewer out there. I think there are comments here. We have Atajiri Umar, who says, I will never support this wrong decision. Let's call our elected and non-elected cabinet to stop and against the motion. Nigeria is a nation.
Isua.
And of course, we have Ego Chamberlain here. Ego Chamberlain is saying there have been agitations for referendum. Unity is not by force. Creating more state doesn't solve the problem. See what Nigerians are telling out there.
Which problem is he talking about?
You're not hearing.
Wait, I'm coming. This is just a comment. Every Nigerian has his own view. Now, if he said that, which problem is he talking about? I am telling you that creating more states will solve insecurity problem in many of these places that are seeking for state creation.
How?
I told you that a lot of places are ungoverned, and people are calling for state police. Now, creating this state will make it, easier for people to organize themselves in such a manner. Let me finish my point.
I observe something. Isua has a point there. They said most of the cause of insecurity in the country is because some local governments have been abandoned.
Let me ask you.
And
Let me
there's
ask you
no
a
governance
question.
there.
As a nation, we opt to have forest guard. Do we have any forest guard? Even though there is, I think they are not working. And even though there is a department or a commission,
why don't we have it? It's just because the power is with the federal government.
Hold on. Hold on. Isua, wait, hold on. If you are to score the number of states that are available over 30
you are
states.
still
Hold on, let me
about
land.
this
Hold on.
viability.
I did
And
not
I've
continue.
explained
I did
what
not
is
continue.
viable
Let him make-
and what is not viable.
Let him make If out of 30 states, less than 6 states are viable.
I don't understand
Hold on.
by your viability.
Wait.
I won't
Hold
take
on.
that.
Hold on.
Because by viability,
Okay.
you are still referring to the old thinking. I told you how these states can work. I told you how we have abandoned natural resources that can be explored for all these states to be viable. There is no state in Nigeria that is not viable. I told you this thing. A state is not viable if trade is not taking place. A state is not viable if, they don't have natural resources. We have natural resources in all of these states in abundance. We have human resources that can explode.
I visited Jigawa recently. That is Dusi. I saw people sitting on the pavement of the roadside, not even scared of car. Do you know why? Less population. The state is
less population. I don't understand.
The state is densely populated. You understand me?
Okay.
You pass through the road. I can see most motorists, even if they miss their way, they won't go to the next point to turn. Rather, they will just turn immediately where they are and just take one way and go. Because they are so sure that no car is coming behind them. You understand? And you are here. I believe maybe Jigawa is also among the states asking for more states.
Jigawa is not there.
Jigawa
is not there.
Maybe Jigawa
so
is
not your conclusion is
let me conclude.
Lying.
While I'm not saying most states can, even look at the Asian tiger, Malaysia for instance, they have palm oil, which they came to Nigeria to explore, and they've used it massively to build their economy. That's palm oil. Okay, look at the palm business in Nigeria. You understand? They've annexed it just like it's almost just local production. Nigerians don't export or anything. You understand? While I'm not disputing the fact that you said most states in Nigeria can become more viable. You understand? More state creation is something we should not think of.
Yes, Tunde, let's before we continue, let's see. There's another comment there from one of our viewers. I think here we have Okafor Chukwuemeka Judebi. He said 20 states equals to 20 new governors. There are 8 and commissioner plus around 60 senators, plus there are 8 plus around 80 to 100 House of Representatives members, plus there are 8 plus around 400 council chairmen. And at the end of the day, what is the end? Ends up borrowing, more borrowing.
What about senators?
Ends up with more borrowing. And then look at Chukuru Mohammed. Chukuru Mohammed has this to say: I will never support this issue of creating another 20 states in our dear country. It's wrong decision.
People just, these are requests.
These are Nigerians.
Yes, these are only requests. Can they say sincerely that there are no places that states should be created?
Of course, some of them are even saying that.
You know,
even
some of them, the misgiving they are having is the number.
But the idea is that some of
and
this
you won't deny anybody from making requests.
Some of the places, one of the complaints for some people who even want state creation is that even the places that are viable are not even on the list of the states that are being proposed to be created.
What do you mean by viable? That's the question I keep asking you, and I've explained what is viable.
In terms of viability, I think
creation of state does not really mean viability. Creation of state is about, taking power back to the people. I am not saying 20 states should be created, because this number 20, they are just requests. You understand? Those who you think, according to your definition, are viable, that did not make the request, they feel that they don't need that. You understand? But people who have the population, have everything it takes to be a state, they should be given.
Let's look at this. What you're trying to say is that a young man in his father's house comes to the father, I want to get married. The father says, okay. The father now makes arrangement, they go woo a wife, then engage the wife for him. Then the father provides a mat, provides certain kind of utensils and household properties for use. Then ask him go without a job, without even thinking that yes, my son is economically stable.
If you say without a job, what do you mean by a job? Some people think that white collar work is job. No, people who are farming, people
of even a vocation,
no,
a trade.
There is no way somebody who will say he want to marry and will not do something to fit himself and fit his wife. If somebody said he wants to marry,
20 states that you said you believe they are viable, can you please just name some of them?
I did not tell you that 20 states I believe are viable. I said these are requests.
So that is what you're saying. That
no, I have been mentioning this consistently. I said the 20 states mentioned here are just requests. I said among them, there are some that are qualified to be given state with the population and mineral resources they have there. So don't quote me wrong. And I'm telling you, there are some that should be given this state. They have been asking for state even before 1990s.
Okay, so
the requests have been there year in, year out.
We understand.
So that there is no way you will say that the states are viable. I will insist that all the states in Nigeria are viable.
Okay. Tunde, let's look at the request for a state status for the FCT is another issue here. FCT is the nation's capital, Abuja. As the seat of power, will it be right if you give Abuja a state, and when the nation's capital now have a state statute, then we are not talking of two parallel governments here. We have the federal government, the seat of power itself here in Abuja, and then we have a state.
If I can say, those clamoring for the FCT to have a state status, they are the individuals, which automatically believes that once Abuja become a state and also an FCT, there will be more jobs for the boys. There will be office of the governor, and they believe they will get more jobs. That's just what they want, to me, to my concern. And it's uncalled for. There's a minister of FCT, and almost all the councils, all the local governments.
I think other developed countries of the world, the way they practice it is that at the center where there is a seat of power, like in Great Britain, in London, what do they have? Is it a mayor?
The issue of a status for FCT is already in the constitution. The constitution stated clearly that FCT will be treated as a state. So saying that a status should be given to FCT is just a repetition. What they should be asking for is that, because even the FCT minister, who is in charge of the Federal Capital Territory, have made requests to the Constitution Amendment Committee, and I'm sure that is where they are misinterpreting, for a federal capital city in the FCT, just like you said. That is to say, AMAC, for example, which is a municipal local government that collect revenues and everything in the city center, will no longer exist. That place will be mainly for the federal government. Nobody will collect tax from there if you have federal capital city in the Federal Capital Territory. And I can assure you that even the indigenes, they want that, because there are places, they cannot claim. You understand? But once you have Federal Capital City and Federal Capital Territory, everybody will know where he belongs. And that Federal Capital City invariably can make people to now say, okay, we want a mayor there. But in the Nigerian context, they want maybe the president to be in charge of the Federal Capital City. Yes, or the FCT minister, or whoever the president will appoint. But a special status for FCT is already there in the constitution. It's just that we have not been following the constitution to the latter. Because if you check from all the appointments, nobody have been appointed from FCT as a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is wrong. And the indigene and the settlers, they have gone to court, pursued this case, and the court said, you are right. You are supposed to be given an FCT minister. It's not a must that the president must appoint an FCT minister from FCT. No, but let there be a slot of a minister from the FCT as provided by the constitution.
These are just demands from the FCT indigenous. And
which demand?
For a state.
They are not saying for a state. They said a state status.
Yes,
it's there in the constitution. A state status for FCT. FCT should be treated as a state. It's there in the constitution. It's just that the government have refused to follow the constitution. They are supposed to give them a minister to appoint someone.
Government are not following the constitution.
Yes, now it's there. Even in the Senate, Senator Philip Aduda, when Buhari appointed ministers, there was a petition in that regard, but they have not been following
there
it.
There are several petitions from me.
Is that?
There are several petitions.
So is the government following it? That's what I said. The government is not following the constitution, because the constitution provides that you must appoint a minister from every state, and the same constitution said that FCT should be treated as a state.
Well, listener, that is the much we can take for today's edition of The Big Issue. And of course, you've heard it all. The furore over creation of more states. And of course, the criticism trailing these particular moves, although the Senate has come out to refute the report that it has recommended for the creation of more states. What the Senate said is that it only sent list of these requests to INEC to ascertain certain things that are required for creation of more states. And of course, it is not left for you to use your tongue and count your teeth whether the country is ripe for additional states. Well, I will thank my very, very vibrant in-house analyst here, Tunde Okunjola, and Sunday Suwa. And of course, you see how they have engaged themselves even up to the level as if it was going to be a show of verbal fisticuff or physical fisticuff here in the studio. All is just to give you an insight into what state creation will portend for the country. Join us same time tomorrow for another edition of this program. For now, it's goodbye.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.